Alright, so the DJI Mini 5 Pro is finally here, and it is huge. Well, not the drone, no, of course not. This thing is small, it's really small. In fact, it's so small that it can easily fit in your pocket. It's basically like having a flying DJI Pocket 3. But everything else about it is huge. Now let me explain. The DJI Mini series is easily one of the most popular drone lines in the world, and for good reason. They're small, lightweight, they're subject to far fewer regulations than most other drones. Here in Europe you don't even need to be a licensed pilot to fly one, and on top of that they're affordable and accessible to pretty much everyone. Well, maybe except the US. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, with the brand new DJI Mini 5, DJI has really given us a lot of amazing features and improvements that really make this little drone kind of professional, finally. So in this video I want to talk about everything that you need to know about this drone, about all the improvements, about the things that I like, and about the things that I don't like. I've been flying this drone for a while now, and I have a lot of things to say about it. Also, please keep in mind that this video is not sponsored by DJI. I already did another cinematic video on the Mini 5 Pro that you can watch here if you want to see what this drone is capable of. This video does have a sponsor, and that's ARTLIST, but we'll get into that later. So the biggest upgrade on the DJI Mini 5 Pro is without a doubt the new camera system. The Mini 5 Pro now features a 1-inch CMOS sensor. Finally, thank you DJI. I was hoping to see a 1-inch sensor on the Mini 4 Pro, but it just never came, and that upgrade didn't really feel like a huge leap from the Mini 3 Pro. But I'm really glad we finally have it on the Mini 5 Pro now. So the new camera now features a 50 megapixel 1-inch sensor that allows you to capture 4K 10-bit HDR videos in up to 60 frames per second and 4K 120 for those slow motion shots. Also, DJI has done something really incredible with this drone. It now has a mind-blowing 14 stops of dynamic range. 14 stops of dynamic range on a mini drone. What? The Mini 5 Pro can record videos in a natural picture profile, in HLG mode, and in D-Log-M if you want to have complete control over your videos and calibrate them manually to get a more cinematic look. It has a fixed aperture of f1.8 and a full frame equivalent focal length of 24mm. It also has something called dual native ISO fusion, which is something that we already saw on the Mavic 4 Pro, and that's exactly what allows the Mini 5 to get those 14 stops of dynamic range. I already talked about what dual native ISO fusion is in my Mavic 4 Pro video that you can watch here, so I won't be getting too much into detail. But basically what it does is the camera captures multiple exposures, one underexposed to preserve the highlights like the sky, and one overexposed to bring out the shadows, and then blends them together into a single, beautifully balanced image. It's the same kind of process that Apple uses on the iPhone, which is why the low light shots look so impressive. But I need to say that this only works in auto mode, so if you want to manually set your exposure or your shutter speed, you probably won't be getting the full 14 stops of dynamic range. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to get the most dynamic range out of the Mini 5, then I suggest just leaving it in auto settings and let the drone do its job. So the new 1-inch camera sensor on the Mini 5 Pro is definitely the biggest improvement, and that for me would probably be reason enough to upgrade from the Mini 3 or even Mini 4. The new sensor, together with the new software optimization, delivers videos with incredible details that really look like they were shot on bigger and more professional drones. There's also a new 2x zoom mode that allows you to get some more compressed shots, which also look really cool. But unlike the Air 3S or the Mavic 4 Pro that have a dedicated camera sensor for that, we only have one sensor on the Mini 5, and it's just a 2x digital zoom. So obviously you won't be getting the same results as you are losing a bit of the image quality. But still, having this feature and actually being able to zoom on a mini drone is really incredible. The new gimbal design on the DJI Mini 5 Pro can now rotate up to 225 degrees, allowing you to get those spinning camera roll shots, and it also has a true vertical mode like on the previous models, allowing you to get that vertical content for social media, and that's always a plus. Personally, I think this camera rotation effect is not that big of a deal, as you can easily do that in editing. And when people start overusing it, it just becomes boring, so I'm not using it that much. But I must say that I do like the new gimbal design on the Mini 5 Pro much better than on the Mavic 4 Pro, as it just doesn't restrict the drone's movement and the speed like it does on the Mavic 4, where the camera movement in vertical mode is very limited. Now, one of my favorite features on the Mini 5 Pro is actually the fact that you can now easily detach and attach the propellers like on all the other drones, so you no longer have to carry a screwdriver with you every single time. So, no more screwdrivers. Love it. And now we also have 42 gigabytes of internal storage on the Mini 5. I think on the previous model we only had like 2, and now we have 42, which is really enough to get you through an entire day of shooting. This is also really handy if you, let's say, forget your SD card. You know, before if you didn't have an SD card with you, you just couldn't fly. And now you can easily record all your stuff on the internal storage. Good job on this DJI. I would have liked to have at least 64 gigabytes and not 42. I don't know why 42, because 64 kind of seems like the bare minimum in 2025 for all cameras and devices. But hey, 42 is better than 2, so I'm not complaining. Now with the Fly More combo you also get 3 ND filters. You have ND8, ND32 and ND128 that are really useful if you want to keep your shutter speed low to get that cinematic motion blur. Unfortunately the aperture on the Mini 5 Pro is fixed, so unlike the Mavic 4 Pro where you could just easily change the aperture and get away even without using ND filters, on the Mini 5 Pro you really need to have those NDs. That's why I highly recommend getting the Fly More combo, as you'll just get not just the ND filters but also 2 extra batteries and the charging hub that now allows you to charge 2 batteries at the same time with fast charging. So in my opinion the Fly More combo is really worth it. And another thing that I really like about the Mini 5 is that as soon as you unfold it, it immediately powers on and you are ready to fly in just a few seconds. We first saw this feature on the Mavic 4 Pro and it's really good to see it on the Mini 5 as well. And the same goes for the power off. As soon as you fold it back, it immediately starts to turn off and even gives you a voice notification.
Aircraft will power off in 5 seconds. Press any button on aircraft to cancel.
No more double pressing any buttons, no more waiting time. Love it. And it's also the first time that we got forward-facing LiDAR sensors on a mini drone, so it should be really hard crashing the Mini 5. The active track has also been improved on the Mini 5 Pro. I don't really use active track as I don't really like it. I've crashed and I've seen many drones crash because of the active track, so I'm really not into this. I prefer to be in full control while flying all the time and make sure that I get exactly the shots that I want. But if you're a beginner who just started out flying drones, then it's absolutely a good feature to have and a very good improvement over the previous generations. There are also other improvements like the offer plus for a better range and improved transmission, the improved battery life of 36 minutes with the standard batteries and 52 minutes with the extended batteries. And what I like is that you can use the batteries from the Mini 3 and the Mini 4 on the Mini 5 Pro, just keep in mind that you won't be getting the same battery life. And now before talking about the things that I don't really like about the Mini 5 Pro, I wanted to give a huge shout out to my friends over at ARTLIST for sponsoring this video. I'm sure by now all of you know about ARTLIST, but if you're new to this channel, ARTLIST is literally the #1 website that I use all the time as a creator. That's where I get all my music and sound effects and a lot more. It's really an all-in-one platform that I think every creator, videographer, filmmaker should use. You see, unlike most of the websites out there, ARTLIST doesn't just have the best music and sound effects, but also a ton of other things like voiceovers, where you can easily create your own voiceover simply by writing down a text. You have lots to color grade your videos, some of the best stock footage, templates, and a lot more. One of my favorite things about ARTLIST is that you can literally just drag and drop all the music and sound effects directly into your timeline inside Premiere Pro. And this feature alone just saves me so much time when editing. You can also preview and drag and drop stock footage or even generate your own voiceover without ever leaving your editing program. Now how cool is that? And now they've recently just added the new text to image, image to video, and even text to video AI generator that is now using the new Veo 3 and Google's Nano Banana module to generate content simply by writing what's on your mind. And I must say it's the most realistic AI content that I've seen. Now, whether we like it or not, AI is here and it's here to stay. And I know it can be scary for some, especially with how fast it's advancing. But I think if used the right way, it could really help us improve our workflow as creators, as it can help us do things that were simply not possible before or required us to have some very serious skills. Like if you wanted to do some animations, for example, to enhance your videos. Before you had to pay someone to do it or have some very serious skills in 3D animations. But now you can literally just write a text and have it ready in just a few seconds. Or let's say sometimes you really need to get a specific shot that's not easy to get, or that would require you to have an entire team and spend a lot of time and resources to do it. Well, now you can pretty much do it in just a few seconds simply by writing what's on your mind. So having all these tools in just one place and a license that covers everything is really awesome. If you're someone who makes videos, I really think you need to check it out if you're still not using it for some reason. So there's a link in the description that will give you 2 months for free if you want to try it out. So thank you ARTLIST for sponsoring this video, and thank you for doing all these incredible things for us creators and giving us all these amazing tools in just one place. And now let's get back to the video and talk about the things that I don't really like about the Mini 5 Pro. So the first thing, and that's probably my biggest complaint about the Mini 5 Pro, is actually the noise that comes out of it. You know how in my previous video about the Mavic 4 Pro, I said that the first thing that I noticed was how quiet the drone is? And that to me was a big surprise considering how big the Mavic 4 Pro is. Well, with the Mini 5 Pro I had the same surprise, but in a very different way. During my first flight with the Mini 5, I immediately noticed how loud it was. And it's a bit of a problem, at least for me, considering how small this drone is. I mean, it's a sub 250 grams drone that can fly in places other drones can't. It's not subject to all the regulations that other bigger drones are. And most of the time you want it to be quiet and go unnoticed and not bother everyone else around you with the drone, right? For me, I don't really like flying drones while hiking, for example, when I have a lot of people around me, as I think nature is for everyone to enjoy. And lately it's been kind of a problem, at least here in Italy, when you go hiking in the mountains and you want to enjoy the nature, the silence, well, all I can hear lately is drones flying around me, and sometimes it can be annoying. And that's actually the beauty of having a mini drone like the Mini 3 and Mini 4, which are really quiet, like sometimes you cannot even hear it even when you see them. But with the Mini 5 Pro, it's almost as loud as the Mavic 4 Pro, considering that the Mavic 4 Pro is almost, I don't know, 4 times bigger than the Mini 5. Is honestly a bit disappointing. In fact, when I looked at the label on the Mini 5 Pro, I was surprised to see that the noise label is rated at 81 dB. On the Mavic 4 Pro it's 83 dB. So it's basically the same noise level as the Mavic 4 Pro. Here is a side-by-side comparison so you can check it out for yourself. So as you can see, the Mini 5 Pro is almost as loud as the Mavic 4 Pro, and that's honestly a big problem, at least for me. I think a mini drone should be small, should be quiet, and 81 dB is definitely too much for a mini drone. I think it was around 67 or something on the Mini 4. But yeah, that's probably one of my biggest complaints about the Mini 5 Pro. Another thing is the battery life. While DJI says it's 36 minutes with the standard batteries and 51 minutes with the extended batteries, we all know that in the real world you don't get anywhere close to that. I was not really impressed with the battery life from the standard batteries on the Mini 5 Pro, but that's mainly because I've been flying in some really extreme conditions. From the insanely windy Iceland to flying all the way up near the North Pole. So this is really as extreme as it gets, and I don't think I ever had like more than 20 minutes of flight time, which is good. I mean, it's really good. I guess if you're flying in normal conditions, you might be getting close to 30 minutes, so it's not really a complaint about the battery life, but just something I thought I'd mention. I would love to get the extended batteries on the Mini 5 Pro and get even more battery life, but in doing that, it's not at 250 grams anymore, so you're kind of losing the C0 category, you need to reclassify to C1, and you're kind of losing the whole point of having a mini drone in the first place, so that's something that you need to keep in mind. Another thing to consider is that with the Mini 5, you are limited to 120 meters of altitude all over Europe. It simply cannot go higher than that. And that can be a huge problem, especially when flying in the mountains. If you want to go higher than 120, you need to reclassify to C1, and again, you lose all the benefits of having a mini drone in the first place. So at this point I might consider getting something a bit more expensive and more capable like the Air 3S or the Mavic 4 Pro. But it totally depends on you and where you're flying. But I still think it's important to mention that the Mini 5 Pro is limited to 120 meters all over Europe. And lastly, while the Mini 5 Pro is marketed as a 50 megapixel camera, it's still really just a 12 megapixel camera that uses the quad barrier system to achieve those 50 megapixel. And sometimes I honestly couldn't see a difference between a 12 megapixel shot and a 50 megapixel shot on the Mini 5. But I cannot really complain about the camera, as having a 1-inch sensor or a mini drone is huge. It's really the best thing that they did here, and honestly the photos and videos out of the Mini 5 are really good, so good job on this DJI. I think that the Mini 5 Pro is probably going to be the easiest choice for everyone that wants to get a drone now, and probably the most popular drone in 2025 and maybe even the years to come. So I guess that's it. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you want to check out my cinematic video shot on the Mini 5 Pro and see what this drone is capable of achieving, you can watch it here, and I promise you it's really worth it. If you want to check out my new Cinematic Luts designed specifically for the DJI Mini 5 Pro, there is a link in the description, and hopefully it will help you take your shots to a new cinematic level. All these videos that you are seeing were color graded with these Luts, so if you want to check them out, there's a link in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.